Hey, it's Friday, and what do you need at the end of the week? Some really good news to take you into the weekend. I'm John Fry, and this is the Friday Fry-Up. On Fridays, it's time for something different here on The Full English. My name's John Fry, and this is your dose of the week's good news stories on the Friday Fry-Up. So, pour yourselves a cup of tea. It's time to delve into this week's good news stories to take us into the weekend. So, for the first time in history, electric vehicles and hybrids have outsold diesel counterparts by over 10,000 units in August this year. Demand was particularly strong for the Volkswagen ID.3, the electric versions of the Fiat 500, very popular little car, and the Peugeot 208. If only I could say Peugeot. I had I had an art master once who would pronounce things particularly amusingly, so it wouldn't be Peugeot, it'd be Peugeot. And Ford, of course, produced the very famous Mondio, which always made me laugh. Anyway, Hyundai Kona, Opel Corsa, and of course the Kia Niro, which is already making waves. So there's actually more cars being sold in general this year, 2021, than last year by about 1 million units, which is good for the global economy, I guess, but particularly so in the case of electric vehicles and hybrids. So if you're looking to buy one, now sounds like a good time because there's a lot being sold and therefore the market's good, prices competitive, and chances are you'll get one at a good deal. But there have been setbacks. Chip shortages have meant that production has slowed down in certain areas because of the pandemic and various other things, meaning that actual components, the chips themselves that help run the cars, haven't been able to get to the manufacturers in time. So there's been a slow on those. So hopefully next year that's going to pick up, more electric vehicles and hybrids getting on our roads, and generally our carbon emissions going down, hopefully. Still got to build the batteries, I suppose. Despite these challenges though, demand has proved high and is increasing, in fact, across the car sector for electric vehicles and hybrids, which shows a general positive view, I think, towards going electric, the general populace trying to be more ecologically aware and, help the planet as much as we can. So that's a good positive story. Our next story of the day is Grantastic. It's quite exciting. So a Tarnow 78-year-old proves that she is the fastest granny in the world by running up Tatras in less than 2 hours. I think it's Tatras. I might be pronouncing that wrong. It might be Tartras or something. It's one of those exciting mountain names that I'm not very good at. Barbara Primakowska, apologies if I get that wrong. Barbara Primakowska outshone other pensioners in the over 60s category of the race after running up Kasparowicz Peak at 1,986 metres above sea level in 1 hour and 45 minutes. I'm not sure I could do that myself. That's pretty good for a 78-year-old. So she's taken the title of fastest granny in the world and seems very happy about it for that picture. This is actually the 10th time Barbara has won this particular mountain race, and other achievements include conquering Mont Blanc, finishing all the world major marathons, Tokyo, Boston, Chicago, Berlin, London and New York, and competing in skiing events. So she's a pretty sprightly lady, and I think if any of us are still running marathons, skiing and competing in mountain climbing races into our 70s, we'll count ourselves quite lucky. She credits her good health to sleep and doesn't follow a specific diet, but does eat a lot of fruit and vegetables. Lesson for us all there, I'm sure. So there we go, that was the fastest granny in the world. So now we're going to talk about supermarkets, but one particular supermarket called Jumbo in the Netherlands, which has just opened chat checkouts to help combat loneliness for older people when they come in to do their shopping. Rather nice, isn't it? So let's have a look at this. 200 Jumbo supermarkets will be opening up tills where clients can stop for a chat rather than pay for their shopping as quickly as possible. We're all used to being rushed through the checkout, as fast as possible, get the customers through, get the money in, money. This is quite a lovely idea that they've actually encouraging their checkout staff or a certain number of tills at each supermarket to engage the customers in actual conversation. So if you're not in a hurry, like when you're retired, for example, you can stay and chat for a little while, which must be a great help when, perhaps you're retired, you've been frightened of going out because of the pandemic, like we all have, and perhaps you haven't got many relatives or friends nearby. Why not go and chat to your supermarket cashier? I sometimes chat to the checkout ladies at the supermarket, which is always amusing, but it's always a rush. This is a way of taking that rush away and actually giving some really nice human contact. So it's a really nice idea. The supermarket chat checkout is part of a health ministry program in the Netherlands to combat loneliness. The Netherlands has 1.3 million people over the age of 75, over half of whom have said they regularly feel lonely. That's terrible, isn't it? So the initiative is aimed at companies and businesses to try and pick up the idea of their customers being a little lonely or needing someone to talk to, and putting some money into these sort of programs to help give people someone to talk to, combat loneliness, keep everybody happy. It's a lovely idea. Kloosterman van Oort said, "We are really proud our staff want to work at that checkout. They really want to help people make contact with them. It's a small gesture, but it's a valuable one, particularly in a world that is becoming more digital and faster." I agree with that. Apart from the till, a number of jumbo supermarkets also introduced a chat corner where locals come to have a coffee and a natter without any time pressure. So isn't that beautiful? That's a lovely story. So from the Netherlands, we're going to come back to the UK, and we're talking about a northern plan to create a huge forest in the northern England. Now I live in the south of England. I live near Salisbury, so everywhere is north for me, more or less, except Bournemouth. But this is really north. This is like north of Birmingham, so really north. Liverpool, Manchester and Hull are hoping to get a leafy corridor, which is rather nice. An ambitious plan to plant 50 million trees in northern England has taken a step forward after the government have pledged £15 million to the cause on Monday. According to the Woodland Trust, which is overseeing the project, that will be enough to plant 1 million trees over the coming year, and 3 million have already been planted. So good news already. It's all part of the Northern Forest Initiative, which is an ambitious plan to create a leafy corridor between Liverpool, Hull, into Manchester, Leeds and Sheffield. It launched 3 years ago to boost tree numbers, and in an area that has only 7.6% woodland cover, compared to a national average of 13.2%. So that's pretty sad, really, isn't it? Our whole country, the average of woodland cover is only 13.2% of the whole country. So it shows how agricultural a lot of the UK is. But this is going to create a huge amount of trees. What do trees do? Convert carbon dioxide into oxygen. Good for the planet. Good for carbon drawdown. It's all exciting stuff. Simon Megan, the Woodland Trust Programme Director for the Northern Forest, said, "This new funding is massively significant. It will allow us to establish over 1 million new trees this winter and connect them better to the wider landscape." The Northern Forest will cost an estimated 500 million over 25 years, with most of the funding coming through charitable donations. So another bit of good news there. Well done everybody who's contributed. There is a page we'll link to where you can give some money perhaps towards that and support the project. That's the Northern Forest. Now, our final story this week. Obviously, we can't possibly overlook everything that would make you smile and also be a little bit ridiculous. So this is the story that came up this week of a Turkish man who was presumed missing, turned up to the search for himself. So very nice of him to come along and help look for himself. Mr. Matlu apparently had met some friends, then wandered into the forest drunk, where he met up with a search party who were out looking for him. Later on, upon inquiring, Matlu learned that it was indeed himself they were carrying out the search for. Authorities later gave the missing man a drive home after taking his statement. Presumably, telling you off somewhat for wasting their time. But that's a bit of amusement, isn't it? What would you do if you'd heard that a relative or friend had gone missing? You went out to look for them, and then they turned up as part of the search party. It's a ludicrous situation out of Turkey this week. So there we go, that's a few amusing stories for you. I hope that's raised a smile, and if it has, do like, subscribe, etc., all the usual gubbins. And tune back in next Monday when Mike and Sam will be back on the full English to take you through the week's amusement, explore some exciting stories, gadgets, gizmos, and I'll be back next Friday for the Friday Fry Up with Fry. Thanks very much, and see you then. Bye.